Hello everyone, welcome back to a brand new video. For those of you who are new there, hello, my name is Jess. Welcome to my awkward side of the booktube world. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about my October wrap-up, basically everything that I've read, the pros, the cons, all the vibes, all the feels, and yeah, I'm super excited, so let's just hop right into it. Also, for those of you wondering, this is actually water. It's not tea or coffee. It is currently like 3 or so in the afternoon today, and I cannot have caffeine right now. I feel so jacked for some reason. So water it is, but I'm using one of my favorite coffee mugs, so yeah, it is what it is. The first novel that I read in the month of October was Ruth Ware's The Turn of the Key. This book was absolutely incredible. It was by far my very favorite book, I would have to say, for the month of October. And if you don't know what this is a mystery, suspense, thriller novel written by Ruth Ware herself. This is the very first book that I've ever read by this author, and I have to admit, I'm going to have to purchase every single thing she has written because I think honestly she's my absolute fave when it comes to mystery thrillers now, and I'm not saying that lightly. Now, if I were to kind of describe this book in adjectives, this is a page gripper. It's very suspenseful, mind-bending, hair-raising novel. I mean, it actually gave me everything I was looking for in spooky season vibes, okay? Because like I said, October, I wanted all of that, and this gave, and it kind of scared me a little bit. Now, if you don't know what this is, we follow Rowan Kane, who is looking at an ad for a live-in nanny post at this beautiful mansion in the Scottish Highlands to a few children, and they seem so well behaved, and the pay is ginormous compared to what she's currently getting paid. I mean, it's literally everything and more. And of course she gets the job. We see these beautiful angels, aka these nightmarish, hellish kids, honestly, that freak you out. The parents are never there. The only other adult besides Rowan is Jack Grant, who's kind of the caretaker of the house, and there is another person, but really and truly it's just Jack Grant that kind of visits her on the daily. And this house, okay, it's half Victorian, half smart house, if you can kind of imagine that. It was very hard for me to do, but yeah, let's kind of imagine it, okay? Now think smart house. What are the creepiest things that you could have? Surveillance cameras, yes. Every single room had a surveillance camera because the parents, well, the mom mostly was like a helicopter mom who just wanted to see everything of her house and what the kids were doing. And it's creepy, right? Because it's even like, okay, it's like Rowan, she's an adult, like she can take care of these kids. And there are intercoms in this house. Every room has an intercom. And there were times where like the mother would just like dial in and be like, hey guys, what's going on? And it's like, can you not text me? Can you not call, even email? Like, why are you on an intercom and like surveillancing me? Super weird, but it gets creepier. There are things that go bump in the night, sounds and lights going on and off at like odd hours, like think 2:30 a.m., 3 a.m. You're trying to sleep and then things just happen. You can't silence them, you can't control them. And on top of that, the weirdest thing is that literally there are sounds at night that sound like people are just like walking throughout the house, but you don't see anyone, you can't catch anyone, or at least Rowan is like thinking, maybe I'm crazy, maybe I'm not. Now, the huge pro of this book that I absolutely thought was so creative and interesting, this whole book is an actual letter to Mr. Wrexham. Mr. Wrexham is basically the best lawyer dude for people who are on trial. She's on trial for what? Murder. Yes, you heard me right. Apparently, she's on trial for murdering one of the kids. Which kid? We don't know. Why? Who knows? And literally in the whole book, you're trying to like put pieces together and solve like, okay, did Rowan do it? Did other people do it? I mean, literally guys, Rowan was not only a suspect for me. I mean, everyone in this book were suspect. And I have to admit, the ending had me for a whole loop. It was so crazy. The plot twist that we got and just like little by little putting the pieces together is stunning. That's all I have to say. It was stunning. I really don't have any cons about this. I mean, I don't know. I mean, some people, like I saw on Goodreads, said that, you know, the ending was too easy to think about, you know, like you kind of solved it, but I honestly didn't. This book had me so like just inside of it that I wasn't even trying to think of like the ending. Like I was literally like in the moment putting pieces together as if I was Rowan. And that's another pro honestly to me, is that the characters, Rowan, the children, I feel like they were really complex and realistic, so to speak. Like you could literally feel like you were one of them or you were in this house. Like the things that they did, especially Rowan, made so much sense to me as a reader, like something that I would do. You know, it's like, okay, you hear music going off, yet there's a, you know, toddler, a baby that's sleeping. Your first instinct is like, okay, let me get the toddler and then like dip basically, or try to figure out the lights or the sounds. And yeah, I just feel like they were very realistic. So that was the turn of the key. I know that was kind of a long-winded, just like 5 out of 5 star rant, but it is what it is, you guys. This book was absolutely stunning. Highly recommend it. The second book that I read for the month of October is The Maidens by Michaelides. This is set in the same world as The Silent Patient. Now, I have not read The Silent Patient, but honestly, I'm going to do so because I loved this book so much. I definitely know that this was a hit or miss for a lot of people, but honestly, this was a hit. It was very fast paced. It gave what it needed to give, and honestly, I don't know, like I really enjoyed the plot, and the plot twist was so out of this world that I don't know, I absolutely enjoyed it. Now, let's kind of get into the book. So like I said, this is a mystery thriller. It's dark academia. It's giving us cult vibes. It's definitely giving us a little bit of Greek tragedy in here. And in this book, we're following Mariana, who is a group therapist. Her niece Zoe calls her one day and is like, hey, I feel like my roommate has been murdered. They found a body at Cambridge University, which is where Zoe goes, and I think it's her, honestly, and like, I don't know what to do. Mariana's like, yeah, I'll go there. But little thing about Mariana is that she is a widow and her husband died in a tragic accident several months in the past. Now, Cambridge is where they met. So she has a little bit of a sore spot when visiting, and she's kind of hesitant, but you know, look, like someone's getting murdered and it's her favorite niece, well, her only niece, Zoe, that's like kind of in the mix with this. So she goes. And a couple of things, this is where like the pros come in. So of course, this is a murder mystery. And I really loved how Mariana basically just put on her detective hat and was like, okay, I'm gonna go around the school, I'm gonna ask questions. I kind of have like a suspect, which we all know because of the summary, this is like not a spoiler. Everyone thinks it's Edward Fosca because according to Zoe, her roommate and Edward Fosca had an argument, and they think, you know, one thing led to another. Now, she has the suspect in mind, and so basically we kind of see her talk to people. Now, one of the things I absolutely enjoyed was the settings where she was doing these investigations. They were always at coffee shops or bars, and so we really got to see a lot of different restaurants, ultimately speaking, inside Cambridge University, and I just really loved it. I just felt like it was kind of like a cozy murder mystery, even though the murders were very graphic, because yes, it wasn't just one person who got murdered, it was several people that you'll obviously find out about. That's, again, not a spoiler. Now, that was one of the best things. We do have that plot twist at the ending. I found it absolutely incredible because it was not at all where I was going with my head. And I kept, you know, trying to figure out, okay, who's the murderer? Like picking up all these pieces. And I did not see it coming, you guys. Like the ending just had me so shocked. Now, one of the other great things about this book are the several red herrings that Michaelides throws at you. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I picked some of those up and I fell for them so hard. There are so many in this book. You can't even tell like what's real and what's not. And then once you finish the book and you're kind of thinking back on like, oh my God, like my head was completely in the wrong direction. But you know what? I love red herrings when it comes to mystery thrillers. I love when you can maybe have an unreliable narrator, or when you have just like basically being thrown off the trail at all times throughout the entire book, and I honestly found it fascinating and quite thrilling. The last pro that I had with this book was Greek tragedy just sprinkled throughout this. So as you know, it's called The Maidens, and the Maidens are basically a cult set in the Greek mythology world, and there are just several parts throughout the book where we find little sprinkles, little dabs here and there that really just kind of paint a broad picture of not only the murder, but where Mariana's head is at, different things from background information and history. And I don't want to go into too much detail, but just know that if you really like having a little bit of Greek mythology here or there, I think this book is going to be for you. But yeah, you guys, that was The Maidens. I really hope that you pick it up. I found it quite fascinating. Definitely gonna read more from Alex Michaelides. Honestly, I just need to pick up The Silent Patient probably like today and just read it, because if I loved this book and it's in the same world, I know I'm gonna love that. The third book that I read for the month of October was The Unfinished Land by Greg Bear, and honestly, I had to DNF it. This was such a downer, you guys. I'm not gonna go into too much detail because I did do a reading vlog. I'll link it up here with just more details, but ultimately there was no plot to this. The main character I didn't understand why he was important. And yeah, that's pretty much all you need to know about this. Oh, also it was written in like a fake Shakespearean language, and I don't have a problem or an issue with that type of language, but wasn't ready for it. And honestly, I don't know, it just didn't make sense. I rather would have had this book in modern English, because there are a lot of things that are going on fantasy wise that I think would be more understandable had it been written in modern English, but that is just my personal opinion. Yeah, this book ultimately, I read 100 pages and still had no clue what the plot even was. So yeah, Unfinished Land just wasn't a success. The very last book that I read for the month of October was none other than A Master Djinn by Djèlí Clark. This is a historical steampunk fantasy book that's set in the year 1912 in Cairo, Egypt. We follow the main character Fatma, who is a special agent dealing with paranormal situations, and she is tasked with the mission of finding out why several members of a secret brotherhood were brutally murdered via fire. Yeah, so they were all brutally burned in the very beginning of this book, and it was kind of crazy. And the person who did it was a person who says that they are Al-Jahiz. Now you're wondering, who the hell is this person named Al-Jahiz? Well, 40 years ago, Al-Jahiz was a very special person because he opened a portal to a different realm where Djinn and other magical creatures live. Now, if you don't know what Djinns are, those are genies. I didn't know that until reading this book, and I had to do a little bit of research, but they are like genies in a bottle essentially, and we have other creatures and of course magic. He introduces magic to this world before disappearing. Now we have Brotherhood people being brutally murdered by someone who says that they're the real Al-Jahiz. So Fatma is going undercover and investigating, like, is this the real person or not? Now we do have other characters in this book, such as her sidekick Hadia, and she's in a sapphic relationship with a wonderful woman named Sidi, who is honestly a badass. Now there are a lot of pros with this book. Honestly, the world building in here was so impressive. Everything between the colors and the way the architecture was, and even the steampunk machines, I mean, they were absolutely breathtaking. And on top of that, I just love the investigation route. We got to see all different types of places in Cairo, whether they're fictional or real, and it just gave so much mysterious murder, let's go on a hunt, who is this person? Like, I really wanted to get a whiteboard and just start figuring out, okay, here is the situation, here are the clues, can I figure out who the murderer was? But honestly, I couldn't even really do that in the time that I was reading this, because I was so engrossed into the book. I couldn't really, or actually no, I didn't even want to say couldn't. I honestly didn't want to kind of figure out the end. I wanted to kind of be in the moment, be in the present, and figure out alongside Fatma and Hadia and Sidi and all the other characters that we find in this book. I will say, thinking about it now, the only con that I had with this book is that the imposter Al-Jahiz is what we're going to say or call this person, because that's basically what they're called throughout the entire book, just had a lot of plans going on, when I feel like the ultimate one, all these plot twists that we come to realize towards the very end, and what really will take place, I feel like there's this one plan of this person's that honestly could have helped eliminate all of the other plans. So there are a lot of, I don't even want to say red herrings, because they weren't false leads. They were just different parts of different plans that this person had. And I know that that probably doesn't make any sense, but really that's the only con, is that I feel like we could have had one major plan, beginning, middle, and end, versus just like several plans, and we're kind of following each and every one of them that had totally different outcomes. And I don't know if that's because maybe there's going to be another book. Now it says that this is book number 1. I don't know if it's a series or trilogies. There are short stories that came out before this, but you honestly don't need to read those to read this book first. But it makes me wonder if we had all of those plans or plots, because we might see some of them maybe come to fruition in book 2. I don't want to say too much, but yeah, just basically know the imposter had a lot of thinking going on and a lot of things they wanted to complete. Did they complete them? I'm not gonna say. But yeah, you have to read it. But anyways, this was a Master Djinn. I know that was kind of a weird ramble towards the end, but it is what it is. I think that's the only con that I had for this book. But if you want world building, if you want steampunk, if you want historical fiction, highly recommend. All right guys, that was everything that I read for the month of October. I really hope that you at least found a book that you think is just as stunning. Maybe it'll be on your TBR list. Maybe you've already purchased it. If you've actually already read these books, let me know in the comments below, because I'm really interested to hear what you have to say. And furthermore, I would love to have you follow me on other social media channels. Don't feel afraid to reach out to me. I love interacting with you guys. And as always, don't forget to subscribe if you want more content from me. Don't forget to like this video. It truly helps my channel grow. Honestly, I can't thank you all enough for watching my videos, because I've just seen just a dramatic increase in followers and likes and comments, and it just makes me so happy. It really warms my heart, you guys. But with that being said, I really hope that you've had a great day or a great weekend. Whatever you're doing, I hope your head is in a beautiful book, and I will see you next time. Bye guys.